So which sports film would you select to screen to this historical figure and why? And which historical figure would you select to screen this film to and why? Whenever you are ready to go, the floor is yours, good sir.
You know, being the most decorated tag team in the history of this business, you know, winning more championships than any tag team in the world. So to me, being inspired by so many greats that have come before me, I'm just happy that I was able to create all that history in one. So, and as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't be who I am, like I said, if it wasn't for you guys, and if it wasn't for the people, not only in the 21st century, but the 20th century and beyond that.
A very, very inspirational force in the 19th century was a man named Frederick Douglass. Is there a particular film, any film from any era that you would showcase to a Frederick Douglass?
One of the films that stands out in my mind and I love and I watch over and over again, it happens to be one of my favorite, is Malcolm X.
Sure.
Any chance I try to get, I watch it, because that was an inspirational person to me, Malcolm X. And, you know, all his teachings and what he came from and where he came from and the struggles that he went through, that's something that I could see, you know, that every African American out there should be able to learn and be inspired by. Because again, this man was looked at as a criminal. He was looked at as somebody that would never ever achieve anything in life, but became one of the greatest minds and became one of the greatest people of our generation.
It's interesting that you brought up Frederick Douglass, because I'm going back to 1863 when our 16th president, Abraham Lincoln, freed the slaves. He freed the slaves, which was a great, great idea, but in my opinion, he did it absolutely wrong. You can't turn people out with nothing, because now that nothing makes them have to survive. Then they've got to do what they do to survive. With this historical figure being our 16th president, I would have taken him a film like the Jackie Robinson story. You know how big I am on Jackie. The Jackie Robinson story, to show him what happened 240 years later because of the mistake made in freeing us. If we had been given the opportunity to have some land, to have some education, to be a force in the nation that we helped to build. So with that, taking that film back to show him what had occurred from his wonderful Emancipation Proclamation that went awry.
Lincoln's primary motivation wasn't to free the slaves. He wanted to win the Civil War. He wanted to reunite the Republic. Reunite the Republic. Emancipation Proclamation freed slaves only in states that were under Confederate control. It didn't affect slavery in the North.
The new documentary on Willie O'Ree, when you mentioned Willie, that just came out, is a phenomenal movie. I had the opportunity to go into the premiere of that, and I would love to show Martin Luther King that, just because it shows his progress of where society has gone, where it can go, but unfortunately somewhere it's taken a left turn and had a little divide going on here in the last 10 or 12 years. Martin Luther King, I think, had the right idea. The world should be equal, but you have to earn the equal. You have to learn how to win, you have to learn how to lose, and all of a sudden we're in the participation world. And I'm not a big fan of the participation world. I still think in society there's winners, there's losers.
You know, can I chime in on this?
Yes.
One? I know I'm talking a lot, but that's your fault. You got me started. Okay. You know, I went to Ivy University on a basketball scholarship, but the big sport on campus now is our hockey team. They have a beautiful hockey arena that is bigger than the basketball arena, which I got a problem with, but we're not going to go there. I had no idea. I played it as a kid. I loved it, but I didn't understand the history of hockey. Now, I say that to say this. While we're teaching our kids about basketball, baseball, wrestling, or whatever, we've got to educate them on what was done and said to make the sport what it is today.
I think that's why people right now who want to chop down these myths and talk about the athlete in a negative way can't have it both ways. So I think the fans out there and all the talking heads and all those different platforms, which I won't name, they need to take a back seat and realize you can't have it both ways. You can't laud the athlete for doing something with their platform, and if they don't, ridicule them for caring only about the money. Which lesson in life did you learn the hard way, but still wouldn't trade for anything in the world?
Well, I think the biggest lesson I've learned is you can make mistakes and still be successful. life is meant to be lived. You don't want to, at the end of the day, go, I wish I would have. I would rather say, yeah, I did that and made the mistake, and here I am on the other side of it. That's the biggest lesson I've learned, is you can make mistakes, but you don't make mistakes if you don't try. And life's that way. You've got to be able to live your life. Yeah, you're going to make some mistakes along the way, but at the same time, you got to look at the other side of it, where you can still be successful even though you've made some mistakes.
Do you feel like mistakes can become discoveries, Grant?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, you go down different paths over the course of your life. Some are going to be good paths. Some are not going to be good paths. You're going to meet great people. You're going to meet people that are bad for you. And you're never going to know who's who until you go down that path. So you got to take life's lessons from it. And it's what shapes you as a person as a whole.
The sanctity of marriage. The biggest mistake I made was losing my family. The biggest thing about the sanctity of marriage, not only losing your wife, but how it affects my children. Now, I tell you that to say this: would I do it again? My family is stronger than ever because I went out there and found out my mistakes early enough to rectify.
You know, with my first wife, I basically put the business first before I did my family. And that was a big no in any business. And I had to learn the hard way. And like you, Calvin, same as me, my first wife, basically, we were better friends now that we're divorced than we are married. You know, I wish I could have been a little bit outspoken in my WWE run. You know, I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, so I kept quiet. I wish I could have been a little bit more outspoken to the powers that be to say, no, I'm not going to do that. Here's what I think.
Now, a little bit of entertainment before topic number 2. This is a very quick game. I call this game, I Would Pay. I'd pay. And Grant, Calvin, and Devon in this game, they would choose which option of the 3 they would pay for and why. Devon, my friend, Hannibal Lecter as a regular cast member of 90210, Big Bird the Bounty Hunter, or Conan the Librarian?
Conan the Librarian. Absolutely. Can you imagine him walking in with that outfit and a sword and someone trying to talk and he holds up that sword? You shut up right away.
The grapes of wrath is past due.
Exactly.
Calvin, I want to see where you're going with this, my friend. We got Hannibal Lecter as a cast member of 90210, Conan the Librarian, or Big Bird the Bounty Hunter? Big
Bird the Bounty Hunter. Let me see the ass
I think he ruled those streets of Sesame. That's all I'm saying.
Big Bird out here trying to be a bounty hunter, somebody whipping his behind.
Might be Conan the Librarian. Yeah, there you go. Did you have a nice time, my friend?
Oh, fabulous! Absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
You know, I've had a kind of a day that you want to forget. But what this did was take me away from the problems of life and get me to think about what the good things that I'm involved with and to maintain that same direction. So I needed this today.